Welcome back. We're back with the Roundtable, MLG's brand new Dota 2 talk show. I'm NYJohn, and I'm joined by two amazing Dota 2 personalities, Purge as well as TobiWanDOTA. Guys, before the break, we talked about some early summer results. Let's continue on that trend. Beyond the Summit actually just wrapped up, the Corsair Summer Cup, and the winners of that tournament, of course, were Mouse, a team that Toby, I believe, mentioned moments ago. Mouse have actually accumulated a total of $24,000 between 4 tournaments, the Premier League, EMS1, Corsair, as well as, I believe, the last one was, can't think of it right now, maybe the Defense, but they definitely have done a great job over the summer. What are your impressions coming out from Mouse? They are a qualified team, too.
Purge?
They're really good. I mean, some people are saying that they have a chance of winning the whole tournament, which is pretty crazy considering that they barely made the cut. I mean, yeah, they won the qualifier, but I mean, that's out of 8 teams, so they played really well, made it in, got a spot, and then from there, I mean, it's probably because they put Synderen on their team. He won the qualifier last year, so pretty much anybody
it's a guarantee.
Picks up Synderen is like, he's never gonna leave the pro scene for the rest of his life now, because someone's gonna be like, look, man, we know if you're on our team, we can make it and at least get top 16.
But then again, Purge, do you want to relive what happened to MTW at the International too?
That was not good. We don't want to talk
early
about
exit.
Forever alone, man. I'll never forget that picture of him in the MTW box. It's just forever alone.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to talk about them in general because these results have been amazing. I mean, $24,000 is no joke. I was doing some math last night, and we're talking about since the start of June, teams like Na'Vi and Alliance have made over $40,000. Of course, Na'Vi's a little bit skewed because of that Alienware Cup, which was a huge prize pool over in China, I believe. But of course, I think Mouse is coming in around third of Western competition. That's really amazing, and they are a qualified team, like you mentioned before. Should fans have high expectations for this team? Can they make it potentially top 8 in the International?
I'd say on the edge of the 8. Maybe.
That's fair.
Mousesports are a team which is very easy to read, but at the same time, very difficult to counter, because they've got, like, as far as individual play goes, it's actually really good. As far as their synergy goes, it's actually really good. As far as farming on black goes, anti-mage, you're not going to win against that. It's just that simple. And that's the way Mousesports can carry it through. Like we can talk about the cups, like the EMS finals were good, but you can't say any of the major top teams were there, and especially not the top teams in really good form. And like the Corsair summer as well. Like Mousesports, trying to go over on my side here, they came in through the through the upper bracket. They're defeated by Fnatic, who really, like, they're not anywhere near the Fnatic they used to be like 9 months ago, when it was kind of like the same with Team Dignitas bottom bottom. Like, they were amazing, and Fnatic were amazing. No one could beat Fnatic, and now it's not so. But then they went through Empire, who's still trying to find their feet and finding it rather nicely. They did get through KaiP, but if you get an anti-mage and you're on an EU server, you can easily just farm yourself to victory. And Mousesports do have, like, They have, like, the way they won the TI qualifiers last year was through turtle strats, and it worked very, very nicely. I'm not going to say it's a bad strat. All I'm going to say is it's a very easy strat to execute. Just a one which is all about decision making in the later portion of the game, and that's where Synderen really hits his own. His decision making is always logical, well thought out, and normally the right one. So I'm all about that for Synd. And like, they went through IC Cup, they went through Fnatic again, and then they beat VP. And VP are like hot one day, freezing cold the next. So I wouldn't want to read too much into their success and say it's going to translate into TI3 victories. I'm going to say their success online was really good. They deserve every win because they really played well-structured Dota. But TI3 is a completely different ballgame.
I think that's a fair point. I want to ask Purge. I mean, looking at Black, I think everyone agrees that Black is one of the premier carry players in the West, if not the whole world. What about Fada's play? He's definitely shown consistent improvement since, I'd say, January, when Mouse first peaked with Kurokai on their roster. But then afterwards, he was able to diversify his hero pool, and he really is starting to be more of a standout solo. Can he match up with world-class solo middles in the International?
I definitely think so. I think Fada's an insanely good player. I've been watching him since he was actually one of the founding members of KaiP originally. The roster is like completely different now, but the original KaiP, he was, I believe, their solo mid, and I was always really impressed with this play. I think he was a really good pickup for Mouse to really solidify their roster, and I definitely think that he can compete with the top solos. I think he's really good.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I mean, he's been playing out of his mind, Dota, as of late. I mean, his puck has gotten up there as one of the best pucks. The only thing that really stands out to me is I have a list of the top 8 solos from last year, actually, and I actually want to read it out because these names are Hall of Fame worthy. I mean, Ferrari, Dendy, Zhao 8, we have Super, PCT, of course, who isn't playing any longer. He was on eHome, Mu, Ice, and Mushi. That is like the next level caliber, and I all think we agree there's one solo that wasn't there last year that's going to sneak his way into that top 8 ranking in S4 that really is playing that kind of level. But do you see any of these other solo middle players really being at that caliber from Western teams?
From Western teams. If you said Eastern, I would have said C2Y. But
C2Y.
RTZ, of course, is a go-to. He's playing extremely well solo mid, but he's not going to be at the tournament. So, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of really talented mids, honestly, in the West, but some of them have some inconsistency. Like Korok is very talented as well, but sometimes he'll make small mistakes while being aggressive. So, I don't know.
I'd throw Resolution to the mix, but he's in the same kind of thing as like Korok, where it could be absolutely amazing sometimes and over-aggressive some other times.
Yeah, makes you nervous. So let me ask one more question. This is something we discuss every year this time. In terms of going to TI3, everyone wants to hide strats. Like, let's just not let anyone see what we're doing. Is this really a big factor? Because Mouse have been playing their hearts out. They've been taking all this prize money. And let's face facts, they're going to end up this summer with more prize money just from summer competitions than some of the teams that go to the international will have because they've dominated the summer competitions. Is there any worthiness? Should people be hiding strats? Or is that just kind of like a little bit of misdirected hype?
I think it really depends on what your team feels like for strength at the moment. I was in Las Vegas recently, and I was able to talk to the Liquid guys about it, and I was like, so are you guys preparing a bunch of wonky strats? And they're like, you know what, we just want to focus on basics and make sure that our team chemistry is really good before we work on any strats. And that was like 2 or 3 weeks ago that I was there, so I don't know what they've done since then. Maybe they've brought up a bunch of weird strats, but I think the same thing really shows with Navi. They looked kind of like crap the last like 3 months ago or 2 compared to their normal play. They looked way worse. But then again, they went to a boot camp, they went to Alienware Cup, they played really bad the first half of Alienware Cup, and then they boot camped, and then they looked just like the strongest they've ever been. And it's probably the same thing. You just have to like get your basics down, and then from there you can branch out. And they've done that. They did that in the defense finals. They're like, oh, we'll just pick Pudge this game, and then we'll pick Zeus and jungling Ursa. Like,
you know what happened in that game, Purge?
No.
It
Are you talking
was
about the suicides and stuff?
no, as in like the draft when like because I was on like top of red, like oh crazy draft in the defense. What actually happened was the USD server. Navi were just like, well, we may as well forfeit this because we're not going to win it. Oh. And then Holly's like, come on, guys, just play the game. It's like, okay, so how are we going to do this draft? Let's just select heroes we want to play. And that's all it was. They said, I'll have Potom. I'll have Zeus. I want this hero. I want that hero. And that's the way that all came to be.
Okay, well, there goes my theory. But regardless, Navi's looking really solid right now. Definitely one of the best teams. And I hope that a lot of, at least some of the inconsistent teams, they definitely need to work on their consistency issues, and then from there, they can do weird strats. I think the powerhouses might be better ones to have secret strats for, or maybe even like the major underdogs if they don't think that they can outskill the other teams, but I think consistency is definitely more important.
I love how you say consistency, Purge, because like I know the Mouse Sports guys actually boot camp right here in our office. So it was actually interesting to see how they approach things. I had a bit of a chat to a lot of the other teams, like Fnatic and a couple of other guys, about how they actually scrim, how they practice, and what they try and focus on. And one big thing which I think I took from it is that teams aren't looking to think outside the box. Like, you come to the international, like we saw it during the group stages and during the first rounds as well, of the playoffs. No team wants to say, let's pick something crazy. Because if you do something like that, then you're going out on a limb in the biggest competition of the year. And you don't want to do that. So you run what is stable for you, what is solid for you. And if you have a combination which you think is going to work well, you've practiced it over and over again to know you can get that synergy and perform that unusual combination in in a high level situation. So most teams would only focus on maybe 2 or 3 new heroes for each player in their roster. and those 3 heroes have to synergize with the other 3 heroes that the other guys are learning as well. So Anti-Mage for Black, we know he's great at that, but he might be practicing something else like a carry SB or a carry PA or a carry something else. Like, these are the different things which they can think of, which is slightly outside the box, and it gives the draft or the captain, the team, a little bit more of a dynamic feel during their draft. They can say, okay, well, they're now going with Enigma, Naga, Morphling. How are we supposed to get past this? What do we do? Well, we can counter with this, this, and this, and it gels in nicely. So you never feel out of your comfort zone. Your team feels comfortable, they play comfortable, and that's the best thing you can have, especially when there's so much pressure like at the International.
You know what that reminds me of, Toby, is that last year we saw Fluff and Stuff actually leave the competition and said he kind of left something on the table when he was there because nerves get ramped up and you get nervous since you are in that elimination context and you don't really want to pull the trigger on that risky strat even when they practice it to a good extent. And I actually saw the other day, I don't know if you saw this, there's a post of the binder for Liquid going to the competition, and it's like a 3-ring binder that is stacked and just has like 8 notebooks in it or something, ridiculous amount of strategies. They are going to be ready this year to pull the trigger and be the aggressive group.
See, I wonder how much of that's even going to be used, though.
Honestly, it must a lot be prep work, and then probably 5% of it could actually be used in the competition, but it's probably a lot of responsive stuff. So if you see, I don't know, for example, Mushi go for some unorthodox carry, which he usually does, then they have a response based on what they've seen from his play style. And you know, Liquid do play it a little bit interesting, talking about their play styles. They're not afraid to go for 3 2-role heroes. I've seen them do OD Tinker, as well as like a Queen of Pain in games before. They're really unorthodox, so their book definitely warrants those extra pages that they put in.
Hey, I'm actually interested to see, too, the preparation, because I remember the preparation for Southeast Asia. The first time I actually got to travel to Singapore and watch a Dota 2, or Dota 1 LAN event, then it was. And what the teams actually had was a huge piece of paper, and on one side, it basically said Sentinel, on the other side, it said Scourge. And so for each side, you had a different draft. And the way it worked was, it says, if someone banned this, it's a flow chart. Someone bans this, we banned this, someone picks this, we pick this. And literally it had the entire draft just done in this flow chart of a way to find their final heroes. And it was an amazing thing to actually read, and probably only the team who wrote it would actually understand it properly. But it was really good to see. They knew what heroes they wanted to play. They just want to find the best combinations of the heroes they wanted to play. And if they needed to, they'd think outside the box. But for most of the finals, it was so predictable, or it was so obvious what they would go, just because of the way they approached the game, the methodology they had when they said, okay, we know what counters what, we just got to pick it and know what's coming with the draft. It was really nice to actually see the teams played and they came with this preparation.
Yeah, it sounds really smart. I like that idea a lot with the flowchart. You can always set up everything. You don't have to waste extra time. You'll always make sure that you don't have to like rethink out everything live. You can do it sitting in your bedroom during boot camp, for example, and then just take that homework. That's a really cool idea. I like the flowchart idea.
Yeah.
That is a cool idea, but in the end, it comes down to execution heavily. So we'll see which teams can execute in the next coming weeks, of course. We're going to go ahead and take it to our second break of the day, but guys, be sure to stay tuned. We still have another exciting topic coming up with the possible announcement of custom maps and also an MLG announcement at the end of this show. So be sure to stick with us, and we'll talk to you after this commercial break.